intro be the intro.
No.
Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Relationship Foods. So today is a very special episode. First of all, I have my wife here in front of the camera. I know you all know her as the camera woman, the hairstylist, the wardrobe person, and everything behind the scenes, but she is here with me today. Hi.
What's up, y'all?
What's up? She's in front of the camera and I'm so happy to have her here. But this episode is in tribute to not one of my favorite artists, but my all-time favorite artist, and that is Whitney Houston. As many of you probably know, Whitney Houston passed away on February 11th, 2012. And ever since then, I have missed her and I have fallen in love with her as an artist, as a person, as a musician over and over again. And so I wanted to do this episode in tribute to her. And if she was here today and she were to ever grace this show, I would make her burger and fries. In a lot of interviews, people talk about how that's what she loved. And so if she were here on Relationship Foods, I would cook burger and fries, my rendition of burger and fries. And so we're gonna do a patty melt with balsamic onions and aged Swiss, and we're just gonna do a simple potato wedge. And so we're just gonna jump right into it. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna chop the onions. And so we're gonna do red onions, and then I'm gonna have my wife, Chan, saute it while I get the burger together. So for this, I just use a red onion, and you could use whatever onion you have on deck, but I think, red onions are good to use for this, and I think they complement really well with the balsamic vinegar and the brown sugar that we're gonna add later. So I'm just gonna jump right into it. But I remember one of the first things that I think I told you when we first started talking was how much I loved Whitney Houston, if I remember correctly.
I think so. And being Jamaican, I think I got a pass for not. Of course, everyone knows Whitney Houston, but I knew some of her songs, but I wasn't as immersed into her music as you were. And let's keep it real, you were offended.
As someone who is a diehard Whitney fan, I want everyone to be diehard Whitney fans just like me. But you got a pass because you didn't.
And it's not that I'm not even a fan. I can acknowledge that she's a beast. I just wasn't into, I wasn't exposed to African American music
as
like
much.
you were.
Yeah, and even for me, I don't think I fell really in love with Whitney until after her death. There was something about her death that just changed me and just made me want to take a second look, who is this person? And the more research I did, the more time I spent on YouTube watching performances, the more I realized that she's my artist. And I grew up listening to gospel music, and in gospel music, she's the standard for a lot of singers. If you ask a lot of gospel singers, R&B singers, who is your favorite artist? Whitney Houston will be at the top of the list because she is a singer. She's one of those people that sings at the highest level of the game. And personally, obviously, who's the greatest singer of all time is subjective. Everyone has their own opinions and everything. But if you have a conversation, almost everyone is going to put Whitney in that conversation. And I put her at the top of my list. But some people may put Aretha at the top of the list. Some people may put Mariah Carey at the top of the list. But for me, it will always be hands down Whitney. But now that I have the red onions julienne, and that's just it's just thin strip like this. You could dice them if you want, but I think when we're gonna caramelize these onions for this balsamic onions, and so I think having this long thin julienne strip is good. And so I'm just gonna put some olive oil. And this is regular olive oil. And remember, as I've said in other episodes, you want to use regular olive oil. You don't want to use extra virgin olive oil because when you're sauteing, olive oil is better for that. And extra virgin olive oil is more good if you're trying to, or better if you're trying to make sure you have the extra virgin olive oily flavor in your dish. But in this case, we're just sauteing, so it doesn't really matter.
My eyes are burning.
Your eyes are burning. Oh, wow. Yes, when you're chopping red onions, they are strong, let me tell you. So if you have to wear goggles, if you want to wear sunglasses, whatever you got to do, you might have to do it for red onions. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some brown sugar. And red onions have a naturally sweet flavor, like most onions do. But the brown sugar kind of helps that caramelization process speed up a little bit by having the sugar, but it also adds brown sugar flavor. So You get two things for one. So I'm just gonna add that. But I think when I first started doing a lot of research, not research, but just exploring who Whitney was, I would watch a lot of her live performances. And that's because I think, like, you can listen to her songs and everyone knows I Will Always Love You, or I Believe in You and Me, or Greatest Love of All. And like when you watch her on or listen to her on a recording, like, she's great and like her voice is good. But everyone who knows her and like follows her knows that she is a live singer. And so when you watch her live performances, and I'm going to show you a clip of one later, but when you watch her live performances, I think that's when I really realized, like, oh, she's a beast. And it's like, every day I wish I was alive in a time where I could have saw her live. Like, I regret it every day of my life that I was not born sooner, that I could have seen her live in her prime. Obviously, you know, she had a long career, but like in I would say 89 to 93 Whitney, and real Whitney fans know that, like that Whitney, I wanted to see her. But we're gonna keep talking about Whitney, but I wanna let you know, oh, your eyes are burning. But I'm gonna add, and this might not help, I'm gonna add some balsamic vinegar to it. And you could also add a balsamic glaze. Oh, you good?
I don't know.
You don't know, but I'm gonna add some balsamic vinegar to it, and that might not help your eyes, but what that's gonna do is, balsamic vinegar is sweet, it's tangy, it adds a really, it complements the red onions and the brown sugar very well, because it has that sweetness, but it also has that tanginess of the vinegar. So I think it adds a nice thing to the caramelized onion, and it elevates just having, everyone knows you have a burger with like raw onions, but having caramelized onions tossed in balsamic vinegar, I think it elevates just regular onions. And so what we're gonna do, while she's doing that and letting that saute, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna move this over here, and I'm going to start putting the burger meat together. And so what I have here is just ground beef, and this is about an 80-20 split, which means that it's 80% meat and it's 20% of the fat. And you want to have around like an 80-20 mix for burgers, because you don't want it to be too lean that when you cook the burger, it's not juicy. Everyone wants a nice juicy burger. And so 80-20 is a good split. Like, you may see 85-15, which is also good, but if you can do 80-20, that would be good. Is it need to step off camera, or you got it?
I don't know.
You can step off camera. No, it's real. It's burning my eyes a little bit too. So I understand if you gotta step off.
It's fine.
You got, okay. We're gonna soldier through it. But to this burger meat, what I'm gonna add is, like, if you watch Relationship Foods, you know what I'm about to say. I'm gonna add some seasoning salt.
Garlic powder.
Garlic powder. You see, you're a real
black pepper.
You know what I add. I'm gonna add some garlic powder, like she said, and you can mix and match whatever seasonings you want to do. You can add it. I'm gonna add some black pepper to that. I'm gonna add the onion powder. But I think it's over there. Some black pepper. Get it freshly ground if you can. Get it freshly ground. And some onion powder, and what's left of it. I need to replenish these seasonings, and then this is where I start to deviate from my normal seasonings. What I'm going to do is add some weight before I deviate. I'm going to do the paprika, which anyone who's a fan of Relationship Foods knows that I always do. And if you haven't seen any of the past episodes, I encourage you to click on our YouTube channel and check them out. There's some really great episodes for you. But if this is your first time, welcome. And I'm glad that you're tuning in.
Yep.
And like I said before, my wife is the one who's always behind the camera. So she's the one who's making sure that everything gets captured. So today she's in front of the camera though, and I'm so excited about that. Barely, but you're here. And then this is where I start to deviate from my normal seasonings. Because this is a burger and we want it to be nice and seasoned, I'm gonna add some chili powder. And not a lot. This is not a chili burger, but it's chili powder. Oh, it's really getting you.
Yeah.
Do you want to step off for a little? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm gonna add, just for a little kick, not a lot of a kick, just a little bit of cayenne pepper. Because you have the sweetness of the onions, you have the cheesiness, and so you want a little bit of a kick to add to that. And then this is another ingredient. Now, if you saw the meatloaf episode, which if you haven't seen the meatloaf episode with Miss Diana, you don't know what you're missing. Go check that episode out after this one is over. But when I made the meatloaf, I added beef bouillon powder. And so because we're making beef burgers, I was like, let me add some beef bouillon powder, just to add a little bit of flavor. And I'm not gonna do all of this because this actually just has salt in it, and so I don't wanna add all of it because we have seasoned salt, but I do want some of the beef bouillon flavor. And then after that, I'm going to add some Worcestershire sauce, which I use this a little bit pretty often too if you watch Relationship Foods. And just a few dashes of that.
What's Worcestershire sauce?
You know what? I don't even know. People,
Oh, wow.
I know that people put it in things, and like I feel like I instinctively know what to put it in, but I have no idea what it actually
What
is.
does it taste like?
It's like, that's a great question. It's like salty. It's like, if you know that, like, it's like, to me, it's like soy sauce in a way. Like it has similar qualities to a soy sauce, but not exactly. But I have all my seasonings in here, and so I'm just gonna get my hands in here, and I'm just gonna toss it together.
First, wash your hands.
Yes, make sure your hands are washed. Make sure they're clean. You don't want germs. You don't want to season your beef with germs. And so I'm just gonna toss it. And as you can see, this is a really loose ground. Like normally when you have ground beef, it's really fine, but this is a really loose ground. Yeah. What'd you say?
Oh, you can show here.
Oh, I can show right here. I forgot we have a camera right here, so I don't know if you can see that, but it's a looser. But when we pack it together, it'll be all good. But now that the beef is seasoned and I've tossed it together, I'm gonna show you how I form it. And when you're forming burgers, especially when you're doing like a burger sandwich type thing, you wanna be mindful of what the shape of your bread is. Because if you were having like a regular bun, obviously you would make it like a circle, like a normal burger. But because the bread that we have is kind of like a long, I don't even know if it's like a long oval, I don't know how to describe it. I'm gonna make a longer, skinnier patty. And when we come back and I show you how I grill it, I'm gonna show you the bread so you can see like why I'm shaping this way. But you always just wanna be mindful. If your bread is square, then maybe you wanna shape the patty into the form of a square. If it's rectangular or whatever it may be, you want to kind of match that so that the burger fits nicely on the bread. And so I'm going to show you how I do it. What I do is I just take a plate, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to set some wax paper down. And I'm going to form it on the wax paper because sometimes it can be hard, especially when you're forming a burger that is a certain shape. It can be hard to do it in your hand. And so by doing it on the parchment paper, on the wax paper, or you can use parchment paper, what it allows you to do is allows you to form it and allows you to make sure that the burger does not stick to the plate. So I'm gonna take some of the meat. We're gonna divide it in like two. Does that look like half? That one has more. See, this is why it helps have someone else in the kitchen. You have another set of eyes. Is that half?
Good eyes.
Good eyes. Because my vision is not that great. But I think it's about half. And so I'm just going to take it and I'm going to form it. But I think when it comes to Whitney, I can't pinpoint a favorite song.
I was literally about to ask you what's
me?
your favorite Whitney song.
I can't do it. Like, it really depends on the day.
Or what's like a song, okay, right now, what song comes to mind?
What song comes to mind? I like the deep cuts. And so I'm going to say, right now I'm really into, I would say Who Do You Love? Which Who Do You Love is a deep cut. It's on the I'm Your Baby Tonight album, which was released in 1991, I believe?
Give us a little bit.
I can't sing it.
A little bit.
I don't even know how
Just like the tune. I never heard that song before.
I feel like Whitney songs, I don't know. But it was written by Luther Vandross, I believe. And he produced that, I believe. But it's like a really good, I just love that song. I encourage you to check it out. Like, I really am into the deep cuts. Like, obviously, I Will Always Love You. Everyone loves that. But, yeah. Yes. But I also like the deep cuts. And so as you see, I'm starting to form it. And so now that it's kind of in a patty, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the wax paper, and that's how I'm going to form it to make sure it's the good shape that I'm looking for.
Is this caramelized enough yet?
Almost there.
Okay.
And with caramelizing, you kind of want it to be low and slow. And so you don't want to have it on high heat. You kind of want to, well, no, that's because this is a hot plate. It doesn't get as hot as a normal stove. But if you have a nice, like, gas stove, you want to make sure that you do a nice, slow caramelization so the sugars can get drawn out and you can really get caramelized. You don't want to burn the onions. You want to get them nice and caramelized. But I think I've listened to every song she's ever made. Like, there was one day, I can't remember, where I found this article that ranked every song she's ever made, even the ones that haven't been released. And I went through and I listened to every single song that she's ever made and released. And if there's songs that she hasn't released, I'm gonna find them. But I believe I've listened to almost every one.
What's your favorite thing about her personality?
that she was funny. Like, I think she seemed like she was funny and she seemed down to earth. For someone who was, like, she started off as a model, so, like, she was an attractive woman. And she had the otherworldly voice. Like, her voice was insane. But she was still, like, in interviews, she was still funny. And she was still down to earth. And there's so many stories about how she would, like if you were friends, like, she would ride for you. And, like, she would make sure that you were okay. There's so many stories of her, like, giving things to people and, like, telling them not to tell anybody. And, like, she just was, like, she just seemed like a really warm person that I would have just loved to have been in her presence. I think. So.
I think that's really important. And, like, once you get, like, fame or anything, just remaining who you are. Because that's what people will remember more. Like, your presence.
And she was so supportive of other singers who were coming up, because there's as a singer you can get territorial about your singing, because you're like, oh, I want to be the best, and she gets intimidated. Like, I don't know if it's because she knew, like, how much talent she had, that in any given room she probably, like, she was the best singer in the room. But even then, she would encourage other young singers, whether it was Brandy or Monica. Or Mary J. Like, she was really encouraging of them, and that's just makes me happy, because I think it's easy for you to believe the hype about yourself and not, like, want to, like, talk to anybody or mentor anybody, but she really did that. So this is what I'm talking about. So this is, like, it's lice, it's longer, it's a little bit skinny, and once you see the red, you'll see why I did the shape. But what I'm gonna do is we're gonna let the onions keep caramelizing. I'm gonna form the other patty. What I'm gonna do is while the onions are finishing to caramelize, while the patties are done, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to make the sauce that's gonna go with it, and then I'll come back and show you how to make the burgers and put it all together. And I'll tell you what I did for the potato wedges. I'm not gonna make potato wedges on camera, because if you watch the first episode with my wife, Chan, which you need to if you haven't, I made some potato wedges in that, so I'm just using that same recipe. But I'll talk you through what I did. But I'll see you in a little bit after the onions are done, the meat is done, and we're ready to put it all together.
And my eyes are good.
And her eyes are good. That's important. The onions are done caramelizing. The meat is resting in the refrigerator. And so before we grill the burgers and put everything together, I wanted to show you how to make the sauce that goes with the burgers. And so what I have here, what was that? Okay. I don't know what she just did, but I'm gonna find out after the camera stops. But right here, I just have some regular mayo. And so to that, I'm gonna add some ketchup. And this is similar to, it's similar to just like, it's burger sauce. I don't know what else. It's like you would put mayo on a burger, you would put, ketchup on a burger, you would put pickles on a burger. And so it's just burger stuff in sauce form. So I'm gonna add all of this ketchup, actually.
Can you mix it?
Yes, you can mix it. And then I'm gonna add, just some regular sweet relish to it. And then a little bit of lemon juice. I'm not gonna add a lot of this lemon juice, but just a little bit. And then some hot sauce, whatever hot sauce, floats your boat. I feel like, some black people only do Frank's or Louisiana, but if you wanna do Tabasco sauce, it's up to you. And then I'm gonna do some freshly cracked black pepper. And then we just mix that. And it's literally just as simple as that. But while my wife is mixing that, I'm curious what you all's favorite Whitney song is. So when you're watching this, drop a comment and let me know what your favorite song is. And you could do top 3 if you want. Like, if you're like me and you can't pick just one, it depends on the day. I would love to see your top 3. And I'm always happy to connect with other diehard Whitney fans. I feel like anytime I find someone who also is a diehard Whitney fan, it just makes me happy to know that there's more of us out there. Because I feel like, obviously, like, everyone has their favorite artists, and some people are younger and may not know as many of the older artists. I'm 24, so I'm also really young. But it always really, not really young, but like younger than like when the people who knew her in her prime, But it always makes me happy when there's younger Whitney fans than me. Like, people who are like 11 or 12. Yeah. It lets me know that parenting is still happening. Good parenting is still happening. Because
good parents teach your children about Whitney.
Yes. Yes. If you have a child who does not know about Whitney Houston, I question everything about your parenting skills. But this sauce is all done, and so what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back and we're gonna have our griddle heated up, and we're gonna show you how to grill the burgers and put it all together, and we're gonna try it, and we're gonna talk some more about Whitney. So stay tuned. Okay, we're finally ready to put it all together. As you can see here, we have our potato wedges, and like I said, I'm just gonna tell you what I did. So you just take a regular potato. You can use Yukon Gold potato. You can use russet potatoes. I took some chopped garlic, some chopped rosemary, some chopped thyme, some garlic powder, some onion powder, some paprika, extra virgin olive oil. Did I say fresh garlic?
No.
Fresh garlic. Toss that together, 475 degrees for around 30, 40 minutes. You can check it periodically and make sure you flip it about halfway through. But that's just a simple potato wedge. And obviously you could deep fry French fries if you want, but if Whitney were here, I would serve her these potato wedges. So now we're just gonna put the burger together. So the first thing I'm gonna do before we start grilling the meat is I'm going to get the bread toasted. So this is just sourdough bread. You can use your favorite bread. And I'm just gonna brush it with some extra virgin olive oil and just set it on the griddle so it can get toasted. And this is a little fancy griddle. You can use whatever you have. You can do this on the stove, but we're gonna use this griddle thing for now.
You know, growing up, like we did, there's this song that we would always sing, but I didn't even know Whitney was the one singing it with somebody. I think it was with Cece.
Oh, Count on Me? Yes, yes, yeah.
Friendship that will never end.
Yes, and I love Cece too,
Yeah.
so like that, like them two together,
Yeah.
it's,
Or,
that's, yeah.
Wait, was she singing that other song that people sing at weddings?
When You Believe?
Yes.
When You Believe with Mariah Carey.
And her?
Yeah, they sing it
See?
together. That's from the Prince of Egypt soundtrack. That's one of my favorite. That's
Yeah.
also one of my favorites. She has some really iconic duets. She did Heartbreak Hotel with Kelly Price and Faith Evans.
I don't know like titles.
Yeah, well, yeah. She did, what else did she do? She did It Wasn't, It Ain't Ever Gonna Be with Aretha Franklin. She never did a duet with Michael Jackson, but they were friends.
Oh, really?
They were supposed to do, I believe, If I Told You That on her My Love Is Your Love album, but they never did.
I didn't even know that was Whitney, and I was bumping to that when I was younger.
Yeah. It's like she was, the fourth one doesn't fit, but you know, I'll do it later. But while the bread is toasting, we can get the burgers going. So if you want to brush that with some of the canola oil, and you want to use canola oil, it's fine. You want to use a canola oil for the burgers because you want an oil with a high smoke point. So you wouldn't want to use olive oil, and you definitely would not want to use extra virgin olive oil. We mix it, but you know, it should be fine. And you want to make sure you watch your bread. You don't want your bread to get extra toasted.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's great. So the bread is toasting, so we're gonna let the bread toast and we're gonna let the oil heat up, and then we're gonna come back and show you how to get the burgers started.
How many times are we gonna come back?
Because I have to sit here and wait. Okay, so now we're ready to start the burger because the oil is heated. So this is another reason why having the wax cooker is so convenient, because nothing sticks, and all you have to do is, this one's falling apart a little bit. And then you just take it like this, and there you go. And so we're gonna do one at a time. We'll do the other one later. But then I'm just gonna take my spatula. And the thing you wanna do is, I'm gonna switch sides, is you wanna make sure that you do not pat your burgers down. I know that when people are grilling, you'll see them and they'll like pat it down, but when you pat your burgers down, all the juices leave. So we wanna make sure the juices stay inside the burger. So you just wanna let it be. Don't touch it, don't do anything to it. Just let it chill out and cook. And it knows what to do.
Medium?
We're gonna do this about medium well. Medium and well. I know some people are diehard well done fans, and you know, God bless you. God bless you, but medium well. I don't know what Whitney would have wanted. I can't remember if anyone's ever said if she liked her burgers medium or medium well. But we'll do medium well. I think she would be happy with that.
I think so.
Yeah.
So like, what's one misconception of Whitney, or that you think people had of her?
I think that her struggle with drug addiction is her entire story. I think there's so many people who want to just label her as, oh, she was a drug addict who happened to sing well. No, she was, in my opinion, the greatest singer in pop music, R&B music, gospel music, modern music. And she struggled with drug addiction as other singers do.
Yeah.
Like we all have our struggles, but people want to make that the
to
central
define
thing of her, like of her entire story. But she was a talented, she was an actress, she was a mother, she was a friend. she was a producer, she was a businesswoman, she was so many things. And drugs is just something that she happened to struggle with that other artists do. Exactly. And other artists aren't defined by it like she's been defined by it, I think.
Do you think it's because, wait, after she died, people just labeled her as that? Or before?
I think before when it was becoming evident that drugs was something that she struggled with, like the Crack is Whack interview with Diane Sawyer, or like she did a show with Being Bobby Brown and that kind of revealed the dysfunction in their relationship and how drugs was playing a role in that. But especially after she died, when it was revealed that cocaine use had kind of contributed to her death, I think a lot of people were quick to go there. And I think it's because, like, A, she's a black woman, and because she was seen as this, like, perfect pop princess, she was not allowed to be human. And humans have struggles. And that was just part of her story. So I would say that's probably the biggest misconception. So if you want to hand me the tongs, what we're going to do is we're going to flip the bread, which is toasting. And we're just going to light toast. It doesn't have to be too crusty, just a light toast. But this burger is looking good. I'm just gonna, thank you. It's nice having someone else in the kitchen. I'm just gonna see what it's looking like. We're just gonna give it a few more minutes and then we're gonna flip it over. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add 2 different types of cheeses. So we have an aged Swiss and we have a Parmesan Reggiano. And aged Swiss is just regular Swiss, but it's by the name, it's been aged longer. And I believe that gives it like a deeper, richer Swiss flavor. And the Parmesan Reggiano is just like it's like a fancy form of Parmesan that you can get. They're both a little, like the Parmesan Reggiano is a little bit more expensive than regular Parmesan, but I absolutely believe it's worth it. So I'm gonna.
It smells so good.
I think this is good, so I'm gonna use the tongs because this is a really loose ground beef. I don't want it to break apart, so I'm gonna flip it. Remember, we're not doing well done. There we go. That's perfect. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the cheese, and then I'm going to cover it with a metal bowl. And what the metal bowl is going to do is it's going to trap some of the steam and the heat into in the bowl and allow the cheese to melt. So we have our aged Swiss that I'm going to add here, and then we have our Parmesan Reggiano. And then you could hand me the metal bowl. Thank you so much. There we go, metal bowl. And I'm just gonna put it on top of that. And the steam that's coming off of the burger is gonna get trapped in the bowl and allow it to melt. But the bread is done, so I'm just gonna set that on this. I'll set it on the board, and I'll add the last one so that one can get toasting. But yeah, this is a really simple meal. Like you can do it on a weeknight for your kids, for just the 2 of you. And if you make it, I think you should have some Whitney music on deck. Get yourself a nice playlist. If you need some good recommendations, you can hit me up. I'm sure there's a good playlist on Spotify, Apple Music, but I feel like it would be good.
Don't hit me up.
Don't hit her up. She knows when she hears the songs, you'll hear them, but you don't know song titles, which is
I know some, just not like all. For our wedding, I was gonna surprise him and walk down to Whitney, and this guy was just like, like that's not my favorite song.
She was going to do I Believe in You and Me, which I love it,
but it's learning it and everything. He's like,
It's like I love every Whitney song, but it's like I have a baseline love for almost all of them. And I Believe in You and Me is like it's just their baseline love, but it's not my favorite. The recorded version, like her live versions, I love. And if you haven't seen The Preacher's Wife, have you seen The Preacher's Wife?
I think so.
Her performance in The Preacher's Wife, which is actually different than the soundtrack, is really good. But the one you were gonna walk down to, I was like, it's good. It's good. But we can actually move we're gonna clear the board so we can assemble the sandwich. But I'm gonna check it. I'll take the tongs actually, because this is hot, so you don't want to just lift it up with your hand. So we're ready to start putting this together. Like as you can see, the cheese is melted. It's nice and
so good.
It's nice. Like there's little crispy edges on the meat. It's perfect. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 2 pieces of bread, just any of the 2 pieces, and then I'll take these 2 pieces because you want to make sure they're about the same size so that you don't have an uneven sandwich. And then I need a spoon. Thank you. It's so nice having someone else in the kitchen. I've been doing this so long.
Really?
You're gonna have to be. Well, I'm
No.
like for this type of thing.
No.
You're gonna have to come back.
No.
You drop a comment if you want her to be in every single Relationship Foods episode.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. So you're just gonna put some of the sauce, and this is to your liking. However much, it's popping. However much sauce you want, you can put. And then, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the burger, and you can see the cheese is caramelized at the bottom. That's exactly what we want. And as you can see, based on the bread shape, you can see why I molded it the way that I did, because it makes it perfect for this bread shape. And then after that, what I'm gonna do is add some of the, I'm gonna turn this off, because we don't need it anymore. I'm gonna add some of the caramelized onions just on top. And you can use, again, this is all personal preferences. These are your sandwiches, so you can have as little or as much as you want. I feel like Whitney would have liked a lot of onions, so I'm gonna do a good amount. And then I'm gonna add the just regular romaine lettuce. You can use arugula, you can use whatever lettuce you like, but I'm just sticking with the nice romaine lettuce. And then you have, voila, and that's a sandwich. And I'm gonna cut it in half. And for this, you wanna use a serrated knife, if I can find a serrated knife. If not, use whatever you have. There we go. Serrated knife, because you don't wanna make the bread break, and so you want to use a serrated knife that allows you to cut through without the bread tearing apart. So just
My mouth is watering.
And then
There you have it.
there you have it. And then I'm just gonna put that over there. And this is the burger and fries that I would serve Whitney Houston if she was here. And so we're gonna try this, but I want you to stay tuned because I'm gonna show you a clip from one of my all-time favorite Whitney Houston performances. It's a clip of I Am Changing from 1986, I believe, and she did it in a concert in California. And I'm just gonna play you a small clip of it, but it's gonna show you, it was one of the reasons I fell in love with her. Like that clip, that concert, that entire concert was masterful, but that song she did, I Am Changing from Dreamgirls, made me say like, oh, Whitney Houston is the greatest singer ever. And so I'm gonna play it for you, but I wanna thank you for joining me on this episode. I wanna thank you for allowing me to share my love for Whitney and also talk about why I love her, what she means to me, and also to prepare her one of her favorite meals. And I wish she were still here. I wish she was still here so she could have maybe possibly watched this show and seen how much I loved her. But I'm gonna play the clip, we're gonna eat, and I hope you tune back in to the next episode of Relationship Foods. I hope you like, share, comment, subscribe, and you listen to a good Whitney song after you finish watching this video. Maybe a whole album, My Love Is Your Love, I'm Your Baby Tonight, The Bodyguard, whatever you want to listen to, just listen to an album in her honor and remember all the wonderful things that she did and that she contributed to the world. So thank you, and I will see you next week on hashtag Relationship Foods coming at ya. There we go.
That's good.
That's good.